Well, nobody wants to think about the unthinkable happening, but if and when it does, you want to make sure you and your family are prepared. I am here at Shelter Insurance in Decatur with owner Joseph Basil. Thank you for being with us.
No, thank you guys for being out here.
Okay, let's talk all things shelter insurance and kind of what your focus is here in town.
So our big focus is providing an alternative option to the big companies, the lizards, the emus, the whatever you might have. That's a family-based local company that is ran by a local company, local people, and help deliver local needs and, solutions to those needs.
Let's talk about life insurance because a lot of people think they can just wait and put it off.
Absolutely.
How soon do you need to consider having a policy? And do we need to be thinking of our children? Do we need to be thinking of when we're older? How does that work?
So in my experience and my expertise, I would say people need to start thinking about life insurance policies on their children as soon as they are born. We don't know, unfortunately, what can happen. It's not our decision, how that stuff plays out. It might not be, to cover debt or things like that, but it still costs money for a funeral, no matter if that kid's 3 weeks old or 99. And then there's also ways we could parlay that into using life insurance to help pay for education. Instead of starting a college fund, you can start a life insurance policy that does the same thing with better interest rates. Those are things that people don't know about that unless they have a good agent to tell them, they'll never know.
That's interesting. I'd never really thought about it that way as like an investment in their future as well. Let's talk a little bit about the economy, how it's affecting insurance rates today, because I know that's on a lot of people's minds.
Absolutely. So I get calls every day. People will call me and say, hey, I noticed my policies went up, which understandably I'd call too if it was my policies. Mine went up as well. However, you got to think about the cost of lumber, the building materials, the labor to get the houses built. Cars, we can't get parts in from overseas to fix these cars. So they're sitting in not junkyards, but repair shops for days and days and days. Their storage fees and things like that are all included. That's all going up because of inflation. So naturally, insurance companies are going up as well. That's why it's so important that people are taking the time to call their agent, whether it be, Shelter, whatever company, say, hey, I need to get my stuff requoted to make sure they're properly covered because, God forbid something were to happen, house burns down and you're only covered, if you're covered before before the pandemic, you might not be able to rebuild that house.
Things may look a little different.
Absolutely.
How often should you reevaluate your policies and all of that?
My recommendation would be every 6 months. Just a call in, just say, hey, just want to check in, make sure everything's up to date.
Do they change that much?
Absolutely.
Much every 6 months?
Absolutely. The market fluctuates so much that, you might not re-change it every 6 months, but it's at least worth a phone call just to say, hey, just want to make sure everything's still up to date.
That's interesting. And then what is the process like updating it and changing it? Because that would seem like maybe a hassle.
Usually for our company, it's a 5-minute process. It hey, let me check it for you. I run a couple numbers. Hey, everything looks good. You're still covered. But it also, those phone calls, we call them reviews, are good times to say, oh, hey, my 17-year-old son started driving, or it's some things that you might not think about. If you have a conversation with somebody on the street, or if you see them in the grocery store, you might not tell them that information.
Right. Interesting.
But it's something that needs to be known because that way your kid is covered to drive your vehicles. That'd be a terrible day if you found out that he wasn't covered to drive the car and something happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, there's no shortage of insurance companies around the state.
Absolutely.
Why Shelter Insurance? What makes you guys different?
The thing I did when I took over this office here in Central Illinois is I wanted to provide a family atmosphere. I mean, it's just me and my secretary. There's just 2 of us here. Her daughter works in the office. She's in high school. She works in the office for us, at time for time. We build a family atmosphere and we pride ourselves on customer service. I've been with the big companies where you got to wait on a 1-800 number. You may or may not get a call back. Shelter's a big company, but we're locally based,
And looking to expand.
Absolutely. So, I mean, people that, may or may not have an agent or may not be able to get a hold of somebody, if you call me at 10 o'clock, I'm going to answer the phone. I might not answer it right away, but I'll at least send you a text and say, hey, what's going on? Everybody okay? That kind of thing, because it's important for people to be able to reach their agent in a time of crisis.
Yeah, and to feel like they care
Absolutely.
about whatever it is that you may be facing.
Absolutely.
You have a fun giveaway going on right now on your Facebook page. Tell me about it.
So I am a Colts season tickets owner. I love the Colts. So I'm actually going to give away a couple pairs of my tickets to my clients or prospective clients, anybody that wants to reach out and get a quote from us. All we ask is that you get a home and auto quote, no obligation. You don't have to sign up. It just let me quote it.
And could just take 5 minutes.
Absolutely, 5-10 minutes max. Could be done over a text message even. Just let me quote you. We'll put you in for the drawing. It's a set of 2 tickets to the Colts and Detroit Lions game in August. August 27th, I believe, was the date of that game. And then there'll be another set of tickets given away throughout the season when I figure out which one.
So stay tuned to your social
Absolutely.
media channels for that. Let's remind everybody where you're located here in Decatur.
We're at 2932 South Mount Zion Road. We are less than a block from south of Kinney's Ace Hardware, just across from the HSHS medical facility.
All right, Joseph, thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
having
coming
us, sponsoring our segment today. If you have any questions, maybe it's time for you to reevaluate your insurance policies. Joseph's your guy here at Shelter Insurance in Decatur. And if you have any questions, we'll have all of that contact information at our website, ciliving.tv.